Divine will means what? This has to be understood first. Divine will is not the will of a person sitting somewhere up in the sky beyond the galaxies. Divine will is not an order passed to you by somebody up there somewhere, and now you have to abide by that order. You have to keep aside all that you think. You have to keep aside your own understanding and do what was ordered to you. Divine will is not this. It is not will of a person outside or God outside or somebody apart from you outside. Divine will is the will of the deepest space in you, deepest layer in you, the source in you. Your mind has a will. Your mind wants to become famous. Your mind wants to be wealthy. Your mind wants to be on the top, make a house, buy a car. Your mind wants to win a competition. These are the will of mind. But there is something in you which is deeper than the mind. A space in you which is not mind, which is not psychological in nature, which is very quiet, very silent. That space in you which is deeper than the mind, that space is subtler than the mind. That space does not want to buy a house. That space does not want to become famous. That part in you is not looking for recognition. That part in you does not have greed. That part in you is not looking for companionship. That part in you is not looking for anything which is mundane. What does that part in you will? Does it will for a house or popularity? What does it will for? One thing is clear, that part in you which is deeper than the mind, subtler than the mind, more stable and still than the mind, is not willing for superficial things, entangling things. That part in you is willing for the highest, supreme, the truth, liberation, ultimate freedom. This is divine will. Divine will is not about doing something which God had said. Listening to somebody sitting in the sky, hearing a voice from universe and doing that. Divine will is listening to your own part, the deepest part, the part in you which is source of you, a part in you which is there without thoughts. Listening to divine will is listening to the deepest part in you, not the mind in you. Mind is not the deepest part in you. It keeps maturing, and there is no final maturity. It keeps evolving, it goes on changing. And that is why the understanding that your mind has is not the final understanding, because there is no final stage of mind. Mind is changing all the time, all the time. So understanding that it has is also changing all the time. You may not notice it. It is changing. Listening to the divine will is about listening to the deepest part in you. Your own deepest part, not somebody else's. Not listening to God. You may be an atheist, still you have in you something which is apart from mind, something which is deeper than mind. Isn't it important to listen to that part in us which is deepest in us? Isn't it a mature thing to listen to that part in us which is more mature than mind, which does not change with time, which is already evolved? What does that part want? That part is willing for liberation, not for a flat in New Delhi or Mumbai or New York. That part in us is not looking for revenge, recognition. That part in us is looking for the highest realization. Listening to the divine will is listening to the deepest part in us, not to the God or to this or that, not to anything which is outside. This is divine will, the will of the deepest part in you, because the deepest part in you is divine, not corrupted, not polluted. Mind is corrupted, mind is polluted. Listening and trusting our mind totally is not that a deeper thing, because mind is corrupted. Mind is always taking sides. So this is the first thing. Divine will is the will of the deepest part in you. If we listen to the deepest part in us, then we will start moving towards what is really supreme, what is really liberating. Mind's will is entangling, not liberating. The day you are tired of listening to mind, that day you will start listening to that in you which is not mind, to that in you which is deeper than mind. In that act of listening to something which is deeper than mind, after you are tired of listening to mind, is listening to the divine will. Don't you want to listen to the most mature part of you? One day you will have to listen to. One day you will be tired of listening to the will of the mind, because mind is not seeking for anything deeper. It is always seeking for validation, attention, companionships, popularity, recognition. It is not seeking for solitude. It is not seeking for beauty. It is not seeking for dissolution, deep experiences, self realization. In the process of living this life, you will be tired of listening to the mind's will. And that day you will have to listen to something which is deeper than mind, because you too want freedom. You too want liberation. You too want to sit down all alone without any interventions. You too want to feel yourself. You too want to cry the tears of joy. You too want to experience what oneness means. And all these things are not the will of mind, but the will of something which is deeper than mind. That is divine will. You can call it, no, it is again the will of mind. No problem, you can call it. Then that is the divine will. You can call it, it is not divine will, just the will of a mature mind. No problem. Then that mature mind is divine. So listening to divine will means this.